Hi everyone, welcome to this workshop. In this workshop, we are going to build a deep research agent, and the focus of this workshop is going to be on data ingestion. So we are going to make our data ingestion process durable. And I see that somebody says that they cannot hear. Please confirm that actually other people can hear. But I think, judging by the replies you gave in chat, yeah, everything works. Anyways, so today for the workshop, the materials we are going to use for this workshop, they are in the description. So you go under this video, and then you click, let me refresh it. Okay, thanks for confirming that the sound is okay. So under this video, you click here on more, and then you click on workshop. So this is how you can get access to the workshop. I'm also going to share it here in live chat, so you have the link. So these are the materials we are going to use today. And I have a slight problem. So I was going to show this workshop on Codespaces, on GitHub Codespaces. This is my favorite platform for doing workshops, because everyone has the same environment. But unfortunately, I think I used all the available quota for Codespaces. So yeah, I cannot do this. So I'm going to use local environment, which is on one hand good, because you can see how I do things locally. On the other hand, some things that I need to install, I already have installed on my computer. So I'll have to tell you explicitly in some places what you need to run in order to install things, but it should be fine. But I'll show you how to actually start Codespaces. Even though I cannot do this, even though I cannot start my Codespaces, so this is how you can do this. So you go to your GitHub profile, or just GitHub, then create new repository. Then you can give whatever name you want here, like workshop, temporal. You add README, you create a repository. And then here in code, you have this Codespaces tab, and then this button, create Codespace on mine. So I cannot create it because I've used all the available quota, but you should be able to do this. And then if you do this, you'll have access to a Linux environment, Ubuntu, latest LTS Ubuntu, where you have Docker, you have Python, you have everything you need for this workshop. Okay, but I'm going to use local environment. And for that, so what I'll do is I'll go to TMP and probably create a folder temporal workshop. Okay, live. Workshop live. Okay, so this is the folder I'm going to use. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code for creating everything. And yeah, so that's what we are going to do. So the plan for today, what we are going to build is in Data Talks Club. We have this podcast. So actually, it's better if I go to YouTube channel. So on YouTube, we have podcast. Right? So this podcast here. And we have quite a few episodes. And I think if I click play all, I should be able to see how many. But it's quite a few. So we do this every week. And we've been doing this for a couple of years. So we have done quite a few podcast episodes because we've been doing this for, I don't know, 5 years. Long time. Anyways, so we have quite a few episodes. And what we are going to build today is we are going to get all the transcripts from all the episodes of our podcast. And we are going to build a deep research agent that can answer questions based on the information from these podcasts. So as you can imagine, like over the last 5 years, we talked about many things with many different people. And if you're, let's say, if you want to start in machine learning and you want to understand what is the best way of starting with machine learning, it's not convenient for you to go through all these podcast episodes and try to figure this out. right? So what we will do instead is we will build an agent, and then we will ask this agent to use the information from all these podcast episodes to give us answers. So that's the plan. That's what we are going to do today. And yeah, as I said, this is the workshop that we are, the workshop document we are going to follow. And for this workshop, we are going to need Python and Docker. So if you use Codespaces, you have all of that already. If you don't, well, you should install it, right? So if you don't have these things. And for package management, we are going to use UV. So if you don't have UV, I already have UV. If you don't, pip install UV will install it. Right. So in this workshop, we are going to have two components. The first component is data ingestion. So we need to get all this data from here, from YouTube. We are going to put it inside Elasticsearch. Right, and we are going to do this for each single podcast episode. So we are going to get transcripts from there, and we are going to put it to Elasticsearch, so such that we can use search. So when I am searching, when I'm looking for something like, hey, how can I get started with machine learning, then I can look things up in Elasticsearch. I can understand which episodes are talking about that. So then we can scan through these episodes to form the answer. So the agent is going to do that. So that's the plan. The first step is getting the data from YouTube and putting it in Elasticsearch. And the second step, the second part, is getting data from Elasticsearch when I, as a user, communicate with the agent and form an answer based on that. So let's start with the first step. So for the first step, I'm going to create a directory which I'll call flow. So workflow, flow, ingestion, whatever, you can name it how you want. And I'm going to initialize an empty project with Python 3.13. Right. So this is where we are going to implement our data ingestion script. And there is a library that we are going to use. It's called YouTube Transcript API. So this library, yeah, this one. So this library, so I don't know why Google didn't show us the main page. So this library allows us to actually download transcripts from YouTube. So this is what we are going to use. So now I'm going to install it. Of course, I need to do UV add YouTube Transcript API. So now we installed it. And also I'm going to add Jupyter Notebook. So we are going to use Jupyter Notebook as an interactive environment for coding things. So first we are going to create a notebook, a Jupyter Notebook. Then we're going to turn this notebook into a proper Python script. And then we are going to create a proper workflow out of this Python script. So that's what we're going to do in the first part of this workshop. So let me install it. I'm just curious, are you following along or are you just watching? Maybe let me know in the live chat, and if you come across any problems, also let me know. I hope you have all the prerequisites. And yeah, if you have any problems and this is something I can help you with during the workshop today, just write in live chat. I have it open on my phone, so I'm keeping an eye on it. Okay, so now I have installed the library for downloading transcripts. I have installed Jupyter. I can now run it. Notebook. And by the way, it now I do things quickly, which is fine. We don't have a lot of time, right? And you feel that you're a little bit behind. There are two things you can do. The first thing, you can rewind. So you can actually, while watching the stream live, you can go back and see what I've done, right? What I did before. And second thing is you can try, why is everything so slow? Second thing is because all the instructions are here. So then you can just follow along the instructions. And then if for some reasons you are a bit slower than me, that's fine too, because you can use the instructions. Okay. Yeah, I hope things will work on my computer. Because again, as I said, I was intending, like my intention was to do this on Codespaces. Okay, so we created a new notebook. Now I'm going to rename it. I'm going to name it notebook. Maybe I should do something more creative, like workflow, maybe. Okay. And as we see here, this is the piece of code we need to execute. Right, so for video ID, let me split it into two parts. So for video ID, I'm going to use so this one. So this is the ID we need. And now, yeah, I should have actually done it this way. Transcript. Okay, so now with this tool, we are able to download transcript. But what I want to have is something like this. So if we see, where is it? I think it's here. We can see the actual transcripts, show transcript here. So it's in a different form, what we see on YouTube. So first there is timestamp, and then there is line, timestamp, line. So I want to convert what we have here. I want to convert it into that format. So we can see that this is how it looks like. So we have here start, which is start in seconds. So for example, for this one, last one, you see. So we need to turn this into a something like hour, minute, second format, and then append this line, right? I'm not going to implement this code now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy these things. So this is something I implemented before. So there are two functions. So first one, format timestamp. So what it's doing, it can turn the number of seconds into this format, minutes or seconds, or hours, minutes, seconds. So for example, if I take this one, then it output this. If I take this one, it's 12 minutes, right? So we get the first part here, right? So yeah, the first part, and the second part is easy. We just take this text as is, right? So that's what we do. So we iterate across all the transcripts, then we get the timestamp, then we get the text, then we put everything together, and we get something like this transcript. I'll call it subtitles. Okay, so now we have subtitles, and subtitles look like this. Oops. Okay, so this is the format we want. Okay, so the first step is done. So we can download the transcript. We can turn this into subtitles. And by the way, if you are using, if you use Codespaces, or if you use any other cloud environment, probably at this point you will have a problem. So when you do this, it will say, hey, like IP is banned, you cannot do this, because YouTube is banning cloud IPs. So you cannot really download transcripts from cloud computers, from cloud IPs. I'll actually show you how to address this. But in the meantime, so what you can do is you can use an alternative. So I already downloaded all these podcast episodes, and they are, you can see them here in Temporal AO data. So all these podcast episodes are already downloaded. So if for some reasons, let's say you use some computer in the cloud for doing this, and it says, hey, you cannot download the transcript, what you can do is you can use this snippet of code. for downloading the transcripts. So I'll quickly show you how to use it. So I think we already have requests. Yeah. So because I think YouTube transcript API depends on requests. So that's why we already have it. So if I want to download transcript that is already downloaded by me, download from GitHub, that's how you do this. Right, so then you get this entire transcript. So yeah, in case you have any problems. Okay, but in our case, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use this this one because I want to actually re-download all the transcripts. Okay, so this is our first step. The second step is I want to, once I get the data, once I get the transcript, I want to put this transcript into Elasticsearch. So for running Elasticsearch, I'll use Docker. So this is the command I'm going to use. Create a new terminal for that. I'm going to execute this command. Yeah, for some reasons, everything is so slow on my computer today. Okay, so I hope I have enough RAM to actually execute this. Because yeah, as I mentioned, things are for some reason slow. Okay, but it's going somewhere. That's good. Okay, so while Elasticsearch is starting, I'm going to open a new tab. And from this tab, I want to test that Elasticsearch has loaded. I'm going to use this simple curl command. So Elasticsearch is running on this port, 9200. So then I can check that it's working by simply sending a curl request. And right now, this request that this response that I get means that it's not initialized yet. But while it's setting up, what we can do is I can already start writing some code for that. So first of all, I need to install the library, ElasticSearch, for communicating with Elasticsearch. This is how I do this, uv at ElasticSearch. And then, yeah, we will need to connect to Elasticsearch. Like that. So here I'm connecting to Elasticsearch that is running here. And perhaps I can check if things work. Okay, now I get a reply. It means that Elasticsearch server is already running. And I can also check it like that here. So I just do Elasticsearch info. And then it's the same as running this command, right? So it just sends this to the root, to slash of Elasticsearch of this host, and displays what it returns, right? So we can see that Elasticsearch is working. And now I want to create an index. So this one is a little bit complicated. I'll explain what's happening. And by the way, so I'm not going to explain it in a lot of details, but what you can do is you can open ChatGPT and say, explain, what is it? Right, and your prompt could be more elaborate, like I don't understand what is happening here when we create the index. Like explain what are these different fields that we use, like for example, what are this analysis filter, what is this analyzer. So I'm going to just briefly go over these things, but for you, yeah, if you feel puzzled or you don't know what's happening, I suggest that you talk to ChatGPT and you can ask it, well, what is happening there. And I see that there is a question. What is running in the Elasticsearch server? So I don't know what you mean by what is running in the Elasticsearch server. So we are running Elasticsearch, right? So Elasticsearch is a thing for performance search. So there, like you can think of it as database for search, right? So in relational databases, we have tables. In Elasticsearch, we have indices. So right now, I'm going to create an index with name podcasts and with these settings, right? So here I define the kind of pre-processing I want to do for the text. So like if there are these things that we call stop words, which are like a, about, above, like words that we need in language when we speak, but they are not super useful from the semantic point of view, right? For example, if I have a query, how do I get rich with AI? Only two words here are useful, rich and AI, right? The rest is just, like it doesn't really matter if the document contains these words because most documents contain them. So this stop words is just we get rid of like all the extra words we don't need. And then we define like how exactly we process our text. Right? So again, talk to ChatGPT. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But now we created an index and we can actually start putting documents there. Right? On the document that we all have. So this is the document, this transcript. I'm going to put this in Elasticsearch. And here, the important thing maybe I didn't mention, where. So we have two fields in our index. We have the field title, and we have the field subtitle. Title and subtitles. Yeah, title is the title of the video. So in this case is this reinventing a career in tech, and subtitles. Yeah, this is our transcript. Right, and in both cases we apply this analyzer. So we pre-process some text. Okay, and here we say that video ID is this one. So it will be indexed as ID. Then title is this reinventing career in tech, and subtitles are subtitles. So now we have successfully inserted this into Elasticsearch, and we can perform search. For search, it's also because in Elasticsearch the syntax is a bit complicated, so I'm not going to type it from scratch. But again, I'm going to copy this thing. So this is our query. Like in database, in relational database, we have SQL. Here in Elasticsearch, they have their own query language. So for example, if we want to return 10 results from our search, from our search index, and our query is this one, how do I get rich with AI? So that's our query. That's so what we do here is we say if a query matches the title, it's 3 times more important. If the query matches subtitle, it's also good. But this head 3 means we boost the title field. And we also apply this English with stop and stem. This is the preprocessor. So we apply the same preprocessing to the query as we apply to the text when we index it. And here, this highlight means that we are not interested in the entire document. We just want to see the snippet, highlighted snippet. So when we Google something, we see the snippet, right? So we don't see the entire document. So here in Elasticsearch, we want to do the same. So we want to just see the important part or the match part, and we don't want to see the entire document yet. And then I do Elasticsearch.search index podcasts, and body, I think is body, right? And then I get back some results, if I remember this index correctly. Okay, maybe I did not add request. Okay, maybe I need to do this one more time. So I will delete the index. So I don't know why it's not working, but we will figure this out now. Delete and create. Okay, so now it created. I'm going to index it again, and I'm going to try to execute it one more time. Okay, now it works. I have no idea what the problem was, to be honest. But this is the response we get. So the response is, yeah, body. So that's the response. There is some information about this, but for us, it's interesting. What is interesting is what is inside hits. So hits, this is the results from that we found. Hits, and then again, hits. So here we have the entire document. Here in source, we are not interested in it. We are interested in highlights. So then it's document number 0, and we have highlight. Okay, so this is our highlight. So we saw the word AI on this timestamp. So this is how we can process it, right? So now I'll put everything together. Yeah, I'm simply going to copy paste this. Okay, so this is our search function. And yeah, so we have here video ID, we have subtitles, we have title if it matches. Okay. So now we can do search. Now we can download transcript. We can do search on it. How about we do it for all the podcast episodes? For that, on Datadog's Club, like this website, is actually it's hosted on GitHub pages. So all the information you see here is in this repo. And when it comes to all the events and podcasts, so we have this underscore data. And here we have these events. Right, so we have workshops, webinars, right? So we have a ton of things. We are interested in type equals podcast. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click raw, so then we can process it. And so import, I already have requests, yeah? Request get, then here I have URL. Request get URL content. So that's our YAML content. And so now I need to parse it. For that, I need to install PyYAML. So now I can do import YAML, and I can do something like YAML load and loader. Is it loader? I think it's YAML safe loader. Okay, so that's our data. And now what we can do is we can just iterate over this and then check if type is podcast, then we take out this ID, right? So I'm not going to implement it right now because I already did this. I'm just going to copy this. And by the way, I do it at a specific commit ID. So because the website is constantly changing. So for example, yeah, so this thing is recent, like it was added recently. So what we can do is we can see the file at a specific commit, right? So this is the URL we get, data, events. So basically, if we know the commit ID, then we can put this here in the URL, and that will give us a file events at specific state. So what I have here is this file at this specific state. And I just iterate over all the podcasts and get the podcasts, right? So that's how the podcasts look like. And now I want to extract this video ID, right? Because this is something this is what we need to use to download the transcript. So I have another script, another piece of code for that. So we simply iterate over them, get YouTube link. So maybe let me show you podcasts. Right, so then we have YouTube link. if we split on this watch, what we get is two things, like whatever before and ID. And then what this gives us is we assign the first part to variable that we call underscore, meaning we don't care about it. And the second one will go to video ID. So now in video ID, we have the ID, right? And then we do this for all the podcast episodes. There is one that is problematic. It doesn't exist on YouTube anymore, but it's still in our data. That's why I skip it. But for the rest, yeah, you can see it's just one less, one fewer. So now we have these videos in this format. So we have the title and we have video ID. So what we can do now is iterate over all the videos and use this code, right? Make subtitles. To make it easier for us to see the progress, I'm going to use TQDM, which is a library for checking progress. And from TQDM auto import TQDM. And now I'm going to iterate over all the videos that we have here with TQDM. So we get this this progress bar with TQDM. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this function. So I think I want to put everything together. So this one maybe goes here, but this part, so let me copy it. So then together with this part, right? So I fetch the thing, then I create subtitles, and then what I can do is I can ingest these subtitles to Elasticsearch, right? So here, when we index it, yeah, so I think we can take all that. Also, before indexing, what we can do is we can check if we already have this document, and if we do, then we don't need to download this. So let me actually implement this. So first video ID, we have it in video ID, right? Then title, video title, we have in, I think it's video title. Yeah, just title. So this goes here. And before we go to YouTube and fetch, we check if ES exists. Index, in our case, it's podcasts, and ID, video ID. Then we can say already exists, skipping. And we can add video ID. And then, of course, we need to add continue. Okay, so I think that should work. Let's see. So this one we already processed, it exists. Okay, so now while this is being processed, I'll take a look at the questions you have. What is the main role of Temporal for this agent, when we should actually use it? Yes, so we will use it pretty soon. So we already see that there are, this is unplayable. Okay, that's, I think we just had to remove this video. So what I will do now is I will do this. Yeah. So now it will be different. So I'll have to update the code, I guess. So we will use Temporal for creating this, for turning this. Right now it's just a Jupyter notebook, but we're going to turn this Jupyter notebook into a proper workflow, and we're going to orchestrate it with Temporal. Can you show the keys? I don't know, what do you mean by the keys? What exactly do you mean by the keys? Okay, so while it's doing this, I'm going to update this thing so we don't, or yeah, I'll do it later. So what should happen now is, yeah, so I got my IP blocked. So this is what I was hoping to get. So right now, YouTube discovered that I'm trying to download videos, and it was like, okay, like it seems like I'm getting too many requests from this IP. How about I block it? So now my IP is blocked, and it will be unblocked only tomorrow. So it means like I can do only 10, 20 videos per day, which is not ideal, right? And then already I see a question from Alexander. Hi, Alex. What is the workaround for getting subtitles from cloud services IP addresses? That's exactly what I'm going to cover right now. So the workaround is using a proxy. Also, it's a workaround for my problem that I have right now. So for me, my IP is blocked. So what do? So then you can talk to, so first of all, actually, you can see here in the error message, ways to work around are explained in working around IP band section of README, right? So you just go there and check this section. And they even, I think they even recommend a proxy. So they say, hey, you can use WebShare. And if you can see that there is a referral code. So if you use WebShare with this referral code, the author of the library gets a cut, which I think it's fair, right? So if you like to use this library, you can buy a proxy from this WebShare. I do not have experience using WebShare, but yeah, you can check it out. I use a different proxy. I'm going to advertise this because I'm not affiliated with them, and there are so many different proxies. So you can just take whatever, like starting from WebShare to any other proxy. And for this, yeah, we need to configure it. So how do we do this? We do this as it says here. We need to configure to have this proxy config. So I'll go all the way. Yeah, actually here, right? So here we download our videos. So I'm going to import generic proxy config. And then here we need to specify two things, HTTP URL and HTTPS URL, which is going to be actually the same URL. So for that, for that, we need to actually get these URLs from somewhere. And wait, here. So typically, when you register in a proxy, you get a user, you get a password, and then there's some base URL, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create an environment, this .env file, where I'm going to put these things, and of course I want to add this to gitignore along with this IPython on notebook env. Right, so now it should be gray. Yeah, it's gray. So everything I add here is not going to be committed to Git. Okay, so and I'll need to put it there. Right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Hey, why it's frozen? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. because I don't want you to see my password. So I'm going to copy these things and paste it there. Yeah, my computer is very slow. Okay, I was trying to find it in a place that is empty. So give me a bit more time. I hope I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, so now it's done. I'm going to share it again. So I put it inside env, and now what I need to do, so now what I want to do is I want to stop my, so first of all, I want to save all the work I did. So I click Control Save, and I'll stop my workflow. And I want to use a special library for loading environmental variables. So I already have it. It's called dir.env. So what you can do is you can install it using pip install dir.env. And then next, to actually make sure you can use it, you can edit your bash rc. So you can do something like, yeah, so this line, eval dir.env hook bash. And then this library automatically loads these variables. So now when I do Jupyter, when I run Jupyter, these variables are automatically loaded from this .env file. Alternatively, what you can do is you can use python.env. I can also show you how you can do this. So pip or uv add python.env, and then from .env import load.env, and then you just execute this function, and then it reads this .env file and loads all the variables from there to environment variables. Okay, so I did this. I think I will need to execute some of these things. So it works. Connection to Elasticsearch. Okay, it doesn't work. I think what I just did accidentally is I recreated my index. That is not good because I'll need to redo some of the things, but it's okay. So I'll index this one. Yeah, my IP is already blocked. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. So we're not going to test search right now. This one. Okay, now we need to configure proxy. So for that, I'm going to use this configuration. And I need to add import OS. So I load proxy user, proxy password, proxy base URL. So it looks like something like proxy user. Oops. Okay, I'll need to pretend you didn't see this, right? So I'll have to disable my user. Okay, but yeah, I just accidentally shared my password. I was going to share print this one. Okay, but yeah, it is what it is. So, and then I'm going to use this proxy in config, proxy config here. Yeah, did I do this correctly? Proxy config, yes. So now actually this should work. Let's see. So, because now we're using proxy, and it's important to have residential proxy, not just cloud proxy or something else, residential proxy. Yeah, because residential proxies are computers like ours, right? So they are not in the cloud providers. Okay, and with that, we will still have issues. Some of the proxies. So every time I make a request, and here when we do fetch, what is happening that we get a new proxy, a new computer somewhere. From this computer, we make a request. And sometimes from these computers, from these IP addresses, somebody already made enough requests to YouTube or whatever. So then we can still get IP blocked error. Or there are some network. So we already have some network problems with connecting to YouTube, right? But now these problems become even more, how to say, prominent. Because now we first need to connect to the proxy. Then from the proxy, we need to, like, first proxy server, then from the proxy server to the proxy computer from which we run. Then from the proxy computer, we need to connect to YouTube and then all the way back. So here, it's very, I would not be surprised if when we get errors, like some sort of connection request errors or things like that. So I'm surprised that this is still actually running. But I expect that at some point it should break, right? And in order to prevent this, in order to to work around these breaks, we need to have a reliable system that can handle retries and all these things. So typically, in the data engineering world, we use workflow orchestrators for that. To handle retries and things like that. And today, for orchestrating this workflow that we have, I am going to use Temporal. I think Temporal, you pronounce it Temporal. So Temporal is this a durable workflow orchestrator. And it's especially useful in situations like we have now. So when things break, okay, this is not what I wanted. So when things break, we want to make sure that no matter what, we can continue, we can recover from this. So it makes our workflow durable, recoverable, and reliable. So that's why I'm going to use durable. I'm going to use Temporal right now. And I'm going to turn this workflow that we implemented. I'm kind of hoping it would break, but like it continues executing. So I want to turn this code into a temporal workflow that we can execute. But first, before we do this, I want to just, like, it's so messy, I want to clean it up. Right. So first, what we do is we clean this code up, and then we turn this into a proper workflow. So for that, I need to find a terminal, with Jupyter, UV run, Jupyter, NB convert. So I want to convert the notebook we created into a script. So it's to script, and then we call it workflow, right? So now we will have a file called workflow.py, which we're going to edit. Workflow.py. Okay. So here, first thing I'll do is I'll move this logic for creating index into create index.py. Okay, so we don't have it here. So let me remove this thing. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to just use Copilot and ask it to make everything look nice. Okay, so what we can do now. So I want to turn this code into something nice. So search videos we don't need for now. I'm going to set it aside. So now we want to focus on downloading all these things. So I'm putting imports to the top. Yeah, these imports go to the top. Request YAML, I already have them. TQDM to the top too. Okay, we have this configuration with proxy. Probably I'll put this at the top too. So maybe I'll start with this proxy. So what I'll do is I'll create a configure proxy, which will do this. Oops. I will also need to import OS, right? Okay. Now imports are much cleaner. So now we have this proxy configuration. Okay, that's the first thing. This thing for downloading videos. So let me check how I actually called it here. I'm going to close this one. So I just want to make sure I don't accidentally call it differently. I call it find podcast videos. Okay. So let me call it find podcast videos. Why my computer is frozen again? And then we are going to do this for a specific commit ID. So I'm going to replace it. I think we did it here, right? So the commit ID is this one. Commit ID. And yeah, I'm going to add to turn this into an F string. So then, yeah, also, oops, go away. But then, yeah, so we're downloading this, we're getting all the podcasts, and then we're skipping problematic videos, and then we're putting everything into these videos. Return videos. Okay. And now we have this thing for processing the videos. So I'll call it maybe workflow. So here, what we need to create is, well, first of all, maybe our commit ID. Videos, find podcast videos for this commit ID. Okay. Also ElasticSearch. Yeah, I don't want to import it here, so this is a better place. From ElasticSearch, import ElasticSearch. Yes, ElasticSearch. Yeah, so that's actually, yeah, we want to also configure proxy. Thank you, Copilot. So proxy is here. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. So we now cleaned it up. So we have this configure proxy, we have format timestamp, make subtitles, find podcast videos, and the workflow that puts everything together. Okay, so now let's turn this into a temporal workflow. For that, I'm going to install Temporal. Well, in my case, I already have it, but these are the instructions of doing this. And my plan was to run this on Codespaces, which is Ubuntu Linux. So if you're on Codespaces, that's what you need to run. If you're on Windows, you just replace this Linux with Windows. This is what I'm going to do. Or actually, I'm not going to do, but yeah, I'm going to show you how to do this. So just replace it with Windows. And then you download this file, you unzip this file. Yeah, I'm going to remove it. You unzip this file. here, and then you put it somewhere on the path, right? So then you will have this temporal executable. In my case, it is, or it lives in this bin folder. Like here, I create a bin directory, then I add it to path, and yeah, so this is exactly what I did here. So I have it, temporal version. So this is the version I have. I installed it a few weeks ago. So maybe if you do it now, you'll have a more fresh version. Okay, and now I want to start the server. So it's just temporal start, temporal server start dev. And then I can see it here. Oops. What is happening? Okay, so I think what I will do is I will close a few things because like they're taking so much space. Cool. So no workflows yet. We're going to now add a workflow. So I'm going to close this Jupyter Notebook too. Actually, I don't think we need it anymore right now, so I'm going to stop it. And now I'm going to add temporal IO as a dependency. Okay, that's cool. So now I want to clean this up, this file. So first of all, we need to define our tasks. So the tasks in temporal, they are called activities. So we want to define our activities. Activities are things that can break. So if we look at our workflow, let's see things that can break. So this one, it has network, right? So network problem is trying to find podcast videos because we are sending a request over the network. So here we might need retrials, right? So maybe the connection breaks or something. Next, here, checking if things exist, right? So then it's again network query. So here, for some reasons, ElasticSearch might be unavailable. For some reasons, network connection might break, whatever. So if this connection breaks, we don't want to stop our loop, right? So we just want to retry to see if next time we retry, we can actually access ElasticSearch. And typically, second retry, it works. Then here, this part. So we already know that many things can go wrong here, many things. So network calls, proxies, IP blocked, proxy already used, connection issues, like many things can go wrong here. And then finally, here, again, we have network, right? Because we are sending this thing that we just downloaded from ElasticSearch. We're sending it, downloaded from YouTube, we're sending it to ElasticSearch. So we need to make sure that it's also reliable. So these things that need to be executed reliable are called activities. And I'm going to put them into a separate file called activities.py. And well, most of these things are actually activities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this here. And then I also need to import from, I think I want to use my different interpreter scripts. This one. Okay, so it knows which things I have, right? So it doesn't underline some. So from temporal IO import activity. So this is what I use to, let me put it here. This is what I use to put, to annotate my activities. So format timestamp. This is not an activity, right? So another thing uses it. Find podcast videos. So this is actually an activity. So this is how I annotate it. Activity.definition, define. So that's an activity. And did I not copy other things? Okay, so I just didn't do, yeah, because there is another activity which checking if this thing exists. So I'm going to create a function for this. Or actually, I'm going to create a class ElasticSearch activities. And then we'll have ElasticSearch client here. And the first activity I want to add is if video exists. Let me actually check how I call it. I want to call it in the same way as I call it in these materials. Video exists. Video exists. And then, yeah, Copilot is good. So video ID, bool. Not quite. So this would be result. And I think I need to do this response.body. Okay. So this is how we check if video exists. Then also index video. So let me also copy this thing. So indexing video, and I'm going to replace it now with search activities. Okay. So here it would be first if, yeah, this. And here, yeah, so we replace this whole thing with this. And I'm going to move this to activities. And I'm going to annotate the methods of this class with activity definition. And the reason I created a class and not a function, so this one is function, right? And this one is a class. So here, the reason it's a class is because it has a dependency on Elasticsearch, and it's actually two of them. So for me, it's simpler to keep track of, how to say, to encapsulate this dependency inside this init method. So then, I just put this dependency here inside, and then I have these two functions, two activities that use this. Actually, here we have a typo. That use this Elasticsearch client as a dependency, right? So we don't specify this dependency here, but instead we hide it inside the class. Okay, so that's one dependency, and then another dependency is actually make an import here. Another dependency would be to do this YouTube thing. I'll call it class YouTube activities, maybe. So here, what I will have, now maybe let me just already move it here to here. So first of all, I'll have the init function, which will have maybe use proxy. So by default, it will be true. So if use proxy, then we configure proxy, else proxy is none. And it's actually self proxy. Self proxy. And then we'll have, how did I call it? Fetch subtitles. Okay. So, and this is our activity too, right? So here, our dependency is proxy. That's why I want to hide it inside this class. Okay, or proxy configuration. Okay, so we defined all the activities, and now we have this workflow. So we don't need proxy anymore. We have the search activities, YouTube activities. Okay. So, and we need to import it, right? From activities, import search activities, YouTube activities, and also find podcast videos, right? Okay. So subtitles, yeah, I need to do this YouTube activities. Cool. So this is how our workflow now looks like. Okay, so we're not done yet. So we just created activities. So activities actually need to be here. Yeah. So we have activities here, right? So they are in the same folder as flow. Yeah. So we're not done yet. So now we actually want to use Temporal to execute these activities. And inside Temporal, we have also this concept called workflow. Yeah, it's like a thing that executes activities. And in order to use that, so we need to now write some boilerplate code. So we already have activities. Now we create these workflows. So that's the import we need from Temporal IO import workflow. Then we need to create a special class. So this would be what is happening? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think my copilot is trying to take over my computer. So here we need to create a class, which we annotate with workflow definition. And inside this class, we need to have a method, which we annotate with, I wonder if, yeah, workflow run. Okay, so and now we need to have some boilerplate code. So yeah, we can add some logging. Workflow logger. Okay, starting workflow. Then ElasticSearch, we will create it outside, and actually also what we can do, we can say if ElasticSearch is none, then we initialize it here from ElasticSearch input, ElasticSearch. So then we don't need to configure it, right? If we want, we can just, yeah, I think this is actually a good idea to make it configurable through environment variable. Okay, so if it's none, then we initialize it. But we don't do it here. We will do this later. Now we will need to actually, so right now here we invoke the function directly, but we will need to use workflow to invoke this function. And I have an example here. Yeah, so this workflow execute activity. So this is how we do it. So we replace find podcast videos with this. And of course, this needs to be async. Right, so now, instead of one line of code, we have a little bit more, but it's like all the configuration we want to have. So from date time, import time delta. So here, the thing we specify, we say this activity has 1 minute to finish. So if it doesn't finish within 1 minute, we retry, right? So then this is the actual activity, find podcast video, and this is the argument we're going to use to invoke this activity. So these two pieces of code are kind of equivalent, except this one, we delegate this execution to Temporal. So I'm going to remove this. So we don't need to QDM here because we are going to see progress through like on the temporal server. Okay, next thing, this search activity. So now we are going to do the same thing, right? So we're going to do, I wonder, yeah, search activities, but it's not search activities, but let me see. Yeah, why it's a new activity stop? Maybe this is some old way of doing this. So I'm going to use this search activities, and I called it Elasticsearch activities. Okay. So, but again, like this is the same idea. We just check if video exists, but we do it in a little bit more verbose way. So we specify the activity, and because this is a part of a class, I say first class name, then the activity name, then argument is video ID, and then yeah, here instead of print, I would need to use workflow logger. Video already exists, so this one I remove, and we have continue, right? So, and then in the same way, we continue here, right? So I will do, oops. No, it's not new activity stop. Okay, I'll just copy paste from here. So it's a YouTube activity, fetch subtitles. We have it here, argument video ID, and then we give 1 minute to finish this activity. And then finally, the final activity we have is once we downloaded the subtitles, we are going to put this inside inside Elasticsearch. That's the final activity we have. What's happening? Right. So and then I called it search activities. Okay, so that's how we replace. Yes, it becomes a little bit more verbose, but it's fine because now we have extra way for configuring, like for saying, like how much time we give, and then there is more things we can do. Like you can check, you see like how many things we can actually do here. Okay, so our workflow is done. So we don't need Elasticsearch anymore. So let's try to run it. The Python UV run Python workflow. Yeah, of course it will not run because we need, like we just defined it, but we need to have also a runner, right? So I'll have a function, I'll call it again, I think, and def run workflow. And here, yeah, so first of all, do I remember the commit ID? No, well, I'll just copy. So we now need to specify, okay, we have the workflow, now we want to run it. Yeah, so we need to connect to the client. We also need to, yeah, I think this is from the, I need to update this code. So anyways, we need to say, okay, we need to connect to the client. I'll do this right now. Okay. Client, which is from temporal client, import client. Okay, this is the client. We run the server, and here we have the client to connect to the server. And yeah, we use, I think it was correct, I saw execute workflow here. Client, execute workflow. Yes, podcast transcript workflow. Then commit ID here, I'll use this one. So here we specify arguments in the same way as here. Right, so I can just copy, paste this link and say commit ID. For the ID, podcast transcript workflow, yeah, works. And then task queue. Okay. And then finally, yeah, thank you, Copilot. So this is how we execute it. So we put everything together. We have the client. Then we want to run this for a specific commit ID. So then we will want to run, we say, hey, execute, I need to wait. Execute this workflow, this specific workflow with this parameter. The idea of this workflow is this, and task queue is this. So task queue is something that where this workflow is going to be put. And from this task queue, something else, a worker is going to pull the tasks from and execute them. So right now, if I execute it, now, why it doesn't have run method? Yeah, okay, now it does. If I execute now, nothing will happen. And the reason nothing will happen is because we don't have a worker. Worker is something that is pulling from this task queue. So we have the task queue here. We defined it. But we need the worker. So we need the actual machine, the actual computer that is pulling things from there and executes them. But what we can do now, actually, is before we do this, where's Temporal running? So I want to go here. All right, I already have it on. We can see that this workflow ID, we already see it, but it says no workers are running. So there is a task, but no workers are running. And we see that, it's just already waiting for like 51 seconds. So now we need to create this worker, something that actually pulls tasks and executes them. So I'm going to create it right now. Worker.py. And this is the code for the worker. So what do we have here? So first we have a bunch of imports. Then we have this run worker function, which again connects to Temporal. Then here it initializes the activities. So here the actual instances of these activities are created. So here we create the proxy. Here we create search activities, right? Maybe I should rename it. Here we create ElasticSearch client. So inside these activities are instantiated with all the dependencies they have. Because the actual worker is going to execute them, it needs to have the actual instances. And now we specify all the activities that we need to execute. So first podcast videos, but then we also want to execute fetch subtitles from this YouTube activity and these two from Elasticsearch activities, right? And now we run. I will need to run it in a different terminal. I see a question, is Temporal is a workflow orchestrator? Yes, it is. It is a workflow orchestrator. Python, how do we call it? Worker. So let's see if it works. Okay. So it says activity find podcast videos is not async, so an activity executor must be present. Indeed, it's not asynchronous, and Temporal wants to execute these things in parallel, right? Things that are not async. In order to execute things that are not async in parallel, we need to have a thread pool executor. I'm going to add it now. So where is our worker? Activity executor. I'm going to do from I don't remember how to actually import this. This concurrent futures. Concurrent futures. Here, executor. This is the executor. Executor. Okay. So now when I try running it one more time, this error should go away. But there is another thing. Failed validating workflow. And so this is very cryptic. But yeah, if we scroll up, we see that there is this sandbox restriction workflow access error, cannot access HTTPS, blah, blah, blah. So Temporal wants to make sure that things are durable, retriable within each activity, and some things may fail. Like, for example, Elasticsearch client, right? So it has some HTTP component inside. So Temporal thinks, okay, like this doesn't look safe. I do not want to start, right? So it refuses to start. So what we can do is we can say, hey, this is under control, everything is fine. And for that, we use a special annotation with workflow unsafe imports pass through. So we say, okay, we understand that there are some things that may do HTTP connection and so on, but it's fine. We trust that this code, we trust this code, right? So this is what we do with this statement. And now when I run it, things should actually work. Let's see. Okay, podcast transcript workflow takes one positional argument, but two are given. Yeah, but this is something else, but let me figure this out. Why two are given? I don't understand this error. Okay, maybe what I will do, I will just simply copy the code that I have prepared. So then I know it should be working. So then we don't have any surprises. I don't know what is the error here. Like it's very cryptic. So it says it takes one argument, but two are given. But I actually give it only, where's my worker? I give it only, where's the other? So I give it only one. So I don't know what the problem is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to copy this. So maybe just for the sake of just to understand what is wrong. So what I want to do is I want to commit code to Git. Git init, Git add, sorry, Git add. Does not have a commit checked out. Did I stop? Did I unlearn to use Git? Okay, I don't know what was the problem. Git add. Maybe it already. I guess it has already Git, which is strange, but okay, I'll just remove it. Okay. Git commit. First commit, and now I'm going to replace this code workflow with this. Go away. To see what was the problem. Yeah, if only it showed the diff. It doesn't. Go away. Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, but this is the same code as I had. I don't understand what was the problem. Okay, for activities, let me do the same. So I'm going to copy activities. Yeah, and because I used this Elasticsearch activity instead of search activity, I will also need to change this worker. Yeah, the code looks exactly the same. I don't understand. Okay, let me try. So do I need to stop anything? Probably I will stop this one. I'm going to go to this thing and cancel it. Okay, I think I'm just going to terminate it. Okay. So I stopped it and I'm going to submit it one more time. And I'm going to run the worker. Okay. Okay, it's working. Good. I do not know what the problem was. I think actually one of the things will not work because as we remember, it was like this problematic video, right, that we wanted to skip. I'll need to update our okay. So let's see how it looks like in Temporal. Yeah, so this one, I think at some point it should just stop. But let me terminate it. So I'm going to terminate it and I'm going to restart it again. Okay, so first I will start the worker. Next, I'll start the workflow. And I think most of the videos are already processed, right? I'm going to refresh it. Okay, now it's working. But we can see that most videos are already processed, but some videos it's trying to fetch subtitles for these videos. Okay, so this is how this execution looks like. So fetch subtitles is actually, yeah, it checks if video exists, then fetches subtitles, checks the next one. What we can also do is, I'm not going to do it right now, but we can, what we can do is we can chunk these podcasts in batches of, I don't know, 5, 10, and then execute them in parallel. So, but of course, we're doing this here in worker. No, in the workflow here when we have this for loop, so then we can execute this in batches. It's also possible. I'm not going to complicate the code right now because this part I plan to take, for this part I plan to take 60 minutes, but we took 90. But this is the most difficult part actually. So now the only thing that is left is implementing the agent. So as you see, usually in many, it's the case for many cases. It's the case for many use cases, for many projects. Most of the time you spend is on data engineering, on data ingestion, on things like that. Right? And this is important that this part is durable, is reliable. So that's why we need to use tools like Temporal to make sure that yeah, we can rely on our data ingestion process. Okay, so while it is finishing executing, finishing indexing all the podcast episodes, what I'm going to do now is create a new, I need a new terminal. So let me make a duplicate screen. So here I want to start a new project. I'll call it Agent. I see that there is a question. Thanks for the tutorial. I wonder, should we use Temporal versus other workflow orchestrator? When we should use Temporal versus other workflow orchestrators like Duckster or Airflow. So Temporal is, well, what I would do is I would just go to ChatGPT and ask it, when should I use temporal versus Airflow? So temporal is, yeah, it's more, how to say, durable. Yeah. So runs for minutes to months, waits on external events, requires strong guarantees, need to survive deploys, crashes, restarts. So yeah, I would just talk to ChatGPT about this. What I also noticed is in Temporal, it's actually language agnostic. So there is a Python client, but there is also a client in Go and Java in many languages. And Airflow and Duckster, they are like, as it says here, for batch jobs, like for long-running data engineering jobs, like when you have some data in some place, like let's say it's your data warehouse, you need to pull this data, you need to put it somewhere. If you want to use it for smaller things, like we will see next, Airflow is not really a good solution. But Temporal works for both batches and like smaller request-based workflows. Anyways, what I want to do now is I want to create a new folder, agent. So right now we're going to implement the agent, and we will see here. So here you would not be able to use anything else but temporal if you want to make the execution durable, because if you use something like Airflow, it will just take forever to do this. So I'll do ev init Python 3.12 ev add. So we are going to use PydanticAI for creating the agent. Then we're going to use, what else are we going to use? Just PydanticAI for now. Let me check if we need to use something else. Yeah, to be honest, I'm a bit tired. It's taking more time than I expected. But it's okay. I'm having a lot of fun. So, agent. Yeah, right. We also need Elasticsearch. Because our agent will use Elasticsearch to access the data, right? So that's why we need to have Elasticsearch dependency too. So is it still running? And also, as you see, again, maybe compared to Airflow, so this workflow is more dynamic, meaning that we see the steps. We don't know in advance how many steps we want to execute, but still, yeah, we just keep executing. And in our case, we discovered this many podcast episodes, so we are going to create a workflow for all of them. I think it's still executing. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to see what's the state. And sometimes you can see it attempts to do it twice, so maybe there is a problem. You can see what the problem was. Can we see what the problem was? SSL error, right? So this happens sometimes with proxies. Yeah, but because we use temporal, we have this automatic retrial here. Okay. So did we finish installing it? Elasticsearch OpenAI. I will also add Jupyter. I definitely need to reboot my computer after this session. Okay, UV run Jupyter Notebook. Come on. So this part of the tutorial should go faster, right? So the most difficult part, the most complex part was the data ingestion part. So we managed to do it reliably. So now implementing the agent. I'll also probably take a few shortcuts. So I'll probably show you already an agent that is doing something, right? Instead of gradually developing it. So we just save a bit of time when it opens. Okay, so the next thing I need to do, and this is what I can do actually, so I should have done before opening Jupyter, is creating this .env file like we did here. And I'm going to put the key there. And I also want to take this one and put it here. Okay, so this the env and env. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to find my environment key. I hope I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so now our environment variable is loaded. Again, you can use python.env or dir.env or whatever you use for managing environment variables. Cool. I'm creating a new notebook. I'm going to call it agent. Rename agent. And I'm going to use PydanticAI. PydanticAI import agent. So PydanticAI is my favorite agentic framework. And yeah, we are going to have two tools. The first tool is search video, and the second tool is get video by ID. So search we already saw. What I did is I added this docstring. This is very important for the agent to understand what the function is doing, so it knows how to use it, right? So then I added this docstring that describes what exactly this function is doing. And for this function, it's pretty simple. Maybe let me show you. So first, let's do some search. How do I get into machine learning? So then we get some results. And what we want to do next is we want to understand what is inside this file. This one, for example. And then it returns the complete document. Right? So think of Google. In Google, we first see the snippet, and then we click on this and we read the whole document. So here the idea is the same. So the first tool is to do search, and the second tool is to get the entire content, the entire video. Right? And our agent is going to use these tools. So I'm going to now create this agent. I don't know, let's call it research agent. So name, we'll call it research. Research. And then our agent needs instructions. instructions. I'll call it research instructions, maybe here. Something simple like your helpful assistant. Helpful assistant. So we need to specify the model. In our case, it will be OpenAI GPT for all mini. For me, this is to go model because this is very cheap and very fast. And usually it works okay. And then finally, we want to specify tools. In our case, the tools are these two tools. Search video and get subtitles by ID. So our agent is going to use these tools to do research, right? Okay, I didn't execute that one. And using it is simple. We just run it. How do I get into machine learning? So then I also have a typo here. It's okay. Wait, so our agent should understand that even though there is a typo, it should understand what the user wants. So right now the agent is doing something. So probably it is talking to our ElasticSearch. It is, showing the result. So we can see the output. So this is what it tells us, what the output is. So what we can do now is we can check what kind of tools it used. And I have a code snippet for that. I don't want to write it from scratch. So we can see, so when we do result new messages, we can see all the interaction between OpenAI and us, the client, the user, and we can see all the interactions, right? We see the user asked, how do I get into machine learning? And then assistant answered, gave this answer. So what we see from here is that this agent did not even attempt to use the tools, but we wanted to use the tools. So that's why we can give it a more better instructions. I'm going to skip this step because I want to use this a more complete version. So this is what I would have arrived at after a few iterations. So you're an autonomous research agent. Your goal is to perform deep multi-stage research on the given topic using the available search function, right? So here we describe in a very detailed way what we want to do, right? So this is our instructions. And now I want to be able to understand what the agent is doing. So I want to see the progress, the tools it's executing, right? It's using to execute. Otherwise, we just wait and we don't know, is it doing something? Is it not doing something? That's why I create this callback. So this callback, it looks cryptic, but what's happening is during the execution, if there is a tool call event, it shows us, it presents it, right? And then this is how we use it. So first we create this agent callback, and then we specify it as a parameter. Oops. Event stream handler. Yeah, so let me remove this thing. So now we should be able to see tool calls as they happen, hopefully. But here we just use plain PydanticAI. Oh, no tool calls. Why? Did I not execute this? Okay, good. I think I didn't re-execute this part with the agent. Okay, so we can see that it asks how to get into machine learning, and then it makes some calls to get the materials. We also ask it to add references. And then we have the result. Okay, it's not ideal. Where is it? Okay, we don't have the result yet. So we'll have the result now, after it finishes. Okay, I think right now what it's doing is already synthesizing the result. Yeah, it's not ideal because I was hoping it would make more search queries, but like this is something we can configure. Maybe the easiest way to make it a little smarter is to use a different model. Like for GPT-5 Mini is smarter than for all Mini. You see, like now it's performing multiple searches. It's good. So that's what I wanted to actually. This is how I would research, right? I would try different queries on Google, and then I'll try to synthesize the result. Okay, interesting queries. Yeah, this is very entertaining, but we don't have a lot of time. So what we will do next is it's actually right now it's good. Like we don't have any problems so far, but the problem that can happen is this: when we get subtitles by ID, we get the entire transcript into agent's memory. And the problem with that is these models, they have a limited context window. So what can happen is when we do this, at some point it says, okay, I cannot I cannot consume more tokens. Like this, what we have already is exhausting all my context window capabilities. Like all my context window is already used. I cannot have more tokens. Which is why, okay, there's the answer. Which is why what we can do instead of getting subtitles by ID, we can actually we can have another agent that would summarize instead of for the researcher agent look at the entire transcript. We would have another agent, summarization agent, that would first summarize and then return the main agent only the summary. So I'm going to create a second agent, and the second agent will be this summarization agent. So it's I create the agent in the same way. So first I have instructions. Your task is to summarize the provided YouTube transcript, and then I also specify in what format it should output this. So this agent is simpler. It doesn't have any tools, and the model is GPT-4o Mini, right? So then the next one is let's use it. So the way we use it is we want to give it what the user asked, because we want to summarize the transcript with keeping the user intention in mind, right? Keeping user intention in mind so that the summary is actually relevant for the user. It's not just the general summary of the transcript, but summary with respect to what user wants. So highlighting only the relevant parts. So that's why we want to build a prompt that looks like this. So here we have multiple parts. First, the user query. So this is what user asked. User query. In our case, this is how do I get into machine learning. And so this is our user query. Then we have search queries. So this is what our agent has searched so far. Right. So this would be this introduction to machine learning and things like this. Sorry, I lost it. Introduction to machine learning, how to get started with machine learning, machine learning roadmap. Okay, so these are the queries, and subtitles is what we want to summarize. Like for example, how about I use this titles, then titles, and then I think I need to also do subtitles here. Okay, that's our subtitles. And we put everything in one single prompt. So this is how our prompt looks like. So user query, search, engine queries, and then all the entire transcript. And now we want to ask the summarization agent to summarize it. Okay, and this is how we do this. Summarization agent run with this prompt. So we await summarization result, or I'll call just S result. And then print S output. So then instead of giving our agent this tool directly, we would just wrap the summarization agent inside another tool. So it will be one agent using another agent, right? And then the main agent, instead of getting the entire transcript, would just get this summary, right? And then we also asked to provide timestamps, so then the main agent can actually reference these timestamps. Okay, so that's the output, and you see it's a lot shorter compared to the original transcript. And of course, we can tweak. So these instructions is by no means like the best one. It's just something I came up with, like, I don't know, within 30 seconds. This can be improved. It should be improved. But I wonder what's the answer to query how to get rich with AI. Yeah, we'll check this at the end. Don't worry. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to put everything inside like this summarize inside a tool. And this is how I do this. Because in order to have access to user query and search queries, I need to go through everything the agent has been talking to OpenAI so far. So I need to know what was the user query, and I need to know what were the search queries. So we have this context, run context, that has this information. So what I can do is I can just iterate over messages in this run context, and I can get content of what the user asked, and I can see what agent tried to look up before. And then this way, I will find out what the user query was and what are the search queries. And then this way, I form prompt. Then I send this prompt to the agent, and then I get back the output. Right. So now instead of using, getting the raw transcript, I can use this summarization agent. So I'm going to remove these things. Okay, good. So now I'm going to, I already have a docstring here, which is important, very important for our agent. Otherwise, it will not know what to do. And our research agent becomes this. Somewhere did I execute it? So we replace one function with this summarize. Okay, so that's our research agent, and we can use it now. I'm going to use it now. So you wanted to see how do I get rich with AI? Okay, let's see how do we get rich with AI. So right now it should make some function calls. Okay, so it's doing some search. How to make money with AI, AI startup funding, AI side hustles, AI tools for entrepreneurs, generative AI business ideas. Well, it's fair. I like the monetize AI startups. So it's doing some research based on the result it got this from these queries. And then at some point it will think, okay, now I did enough research. Let's actually look what is inside this file, what is inside these transcripts. So hopefully it will happen now. Okay, yeah, it's taking its time. Okay, so but what I want to do now is I want to make this execution more durable, more reliable, because here we use Elasticsearch, and what happens with if Elasticsearch, like maybe some connection problems. Basically the same motivation as we had previously when we were working with this workflow. Right now here there could be many problems. So first of all, what if there is a network problem with talking to OpenAI, right? So we want to retry, especially with agents. So the way agents work is we have request, and then we get a request with the idea, okay, we want to invoke some tools. So then we send the request, we get a response with, okay, invoke some tools. Then we invoke the tools, we send the results back to the agent. So this request, response, is going. We will see the visualization of that later. But at some point, like this request, maybe it breaks for some reasons because of the network. It means the entire conversation history is lost. So then, yeah, it's not a very pleasant situation. So we want to make sure that it's retriable. Then also communication with. Did it finish? Come on, why didn't call summarize? Okay, let me execute one more time. So at some point it can break, right? So we want to prevent that. And that's why I want to also use Temporal to turn this usual PydanticAI agent into a temporal agent. And yeah, I want to see what happens now. So for some reasons, it doesn't want to use summarize, I guess. Oh, it does. Okay. Yeah, so it's not ideal. I need to spend a lot more time tuning this prompt, explaining when to use summarize, when to use search, how many rounds it should use, etc. Right? So this agent needs more work. And actually, what I can say is if you're interested in how to make a better agent, at the end, there is a link, temporal deep research documentation. So you can see the, what? It's AI cookbook, deep research. Okay, yeah. So this link explains how you can build a good deep research agent, but this one uses Google, not Data Talks Club podcast. And I thought Data Talks Club podcast is more fun. Sorry, it's not Google, it's like OpenAI search engine, whatever. But yeah, there is a lot of, you can get a lot of inspiration from the way these prompts are structured in order to improve this agent. But yeah, it came up with some answer. Okay, become a senior AI engineer. Cool, thank you. Very helpful. Well, I guess it's a good way to make money with AI, right? Okay, so now we are going to turn this into a temporal agent. So I'm going to follow the same path as before. I'm going to convert this into a script agent. Jupyter NB convert. So now we should have this agent.py file here. Did it finish? No. Okay. And I will need to do some cleaning. So I wonder if I can speed this process up somehow. Yeah, so first of all, I'll create tools.py. And like all the Elasticsearch stuff will go there. Okay. So this one we keep here. Actually, this is not needed because with Temporal we have the interface to watch to understand what's happening. So this one we can remove. Summarization instructor. Actually, for this one, probably yeah, let's keep it maybe here for now. Summarize, but yeah, this is actually a tool, so probably we want to put it inside tools too. So this research agent we don't need, we need this one. And okay. So now I need to clean this code because it's there is a lot of mess. Oh, that's not all. Okay, but now this is all, right? So I'll start with tools. Like with activities, I like my tools to be organized as classes. So I'll have a class that I'll call. You know what? What I'll do is I'll just take a look at how I implemented it here. So search tools, okay. Class. Oh, why it's freezing? Search tools. Init, and we'll have ElasticSearch client here. Then we have these two tools. What we can also have here is index name. Again, then for this one, we need to add self. And we need to do self ElasticSearch client index name, yeah. And the same here. Self ElasticSearch client index, and then we need to add self here. Cool. So the first one I turned into a class with tools. Then I'll do, okay, let me this up. Okay, so let me make it more beautiful. Yeah, that's better. And now I'll create, how did I call it? Summarization tools, I think. Summarization tools. Yeah, summarization tools. And then, yes, we have init too. And then we have two things here, summarization agent, and we have search tools. So two dependencies. So then, how does it know? Okay. But yeah, I'll copy this. Yeah, maybe it knows because I already have it here, right? Summarize, then we have self. So this agent, I need to add agent run context. Okay, summarize. So this one is self search tools get subtitles by ID, and then self summarization agent run. Okay, so then we use the first tool to get subtitles by ID, and then we use this first dependency. Yeah, first tool to get subtitles by ID, and then the second summarization agent to summarize it. Okay, so our tools are ready. And I want to have this agent. So yeah, it's more or less ready. So first of all, I'll start with the summarization agent. I don't need this thing. Create summarization agent. No, probably I'll just have this create agent, which will be yes, summarization agent. But then we have like these tools. From tools, import search tools, and summarization tools. Search tools. Here we have ElasticSearch, and this is podcast, right? Okay, it added ElasticSearch. Thank you. Then summarization tools, summarization agent, which we create here. Okay. And then finally we create, so the instructions I'll put outside. And finally we create the research agent with tools, search tool, search video, and summarization tool dot summarize. Okay. And then we return research agent. Okay, now everything is nice and clean. We just need a function for running this. Sync run def run agent. Create agent, run it. Okay. Prompt, what kind of prompt? How do I get rich with AI? Okay, so, and finally, if, okay, so that should work. Let's test it. Uv run Python agent.py. Yeah, we kind of lost this visibility, but as I said, because we're going to convert it to temporal, we will see what's happening. But from what I see right now, there are no errors. It means that things should be working fine. So I'm going to stop it. Not wait, because I want to now add temporal support here. So first of all, so PydanticAI already comes with temporal integration. So from PydanticAI, I think I can take it from here, right? So there's a bunch of things we can use, like temporal agent. So, oops. It's from PydanticAI, durable execution temporal. Import temporal agent. And now what I need to do in order to turn this agent into a temporal agent is just that. That's it. So now my agent is durable. Well, not exactly, because we also need to define the workflow, but it can discover all the tools. So we don't. So what we want to do is we want to turn our tools into activities, but we don't need to do it ourselves. So this temporal agent, it knows. It basically says, okay, yeah, there are some tools. I know that these tools are not durable, so I'm going to turn them into activities, and I want to use them in my workflow as tools, right? So our tools will become temporal activities. So let me actually check. There are a few other things we need to do, so it's not as simple. So we need now to define a workflow. So remember, when we built this temporal workflow, we needed activities, we needed a workflow, and we needed a worker, right? So that's what we are going to do now so we have the tools. So these are our temporal activities. Then the workflow is actually what the agent is doing. So the agent is sending the request to OpenAI, is getting the response, it's executing tool, it's sending back the request, and so on. So that's our workflow. And for that, there is already PydanticAI workflow that we're just going to use. So I did this thing. The next thing is we create the workflow. Yes. So for this part, I actually hide it inside unsafe ports for the same reason as before. And we have this PydanticAI workflow. So here, right now, we're going to replace this thing with a workflow, right? So we create our agent. And we are going to create our workflow. we annotate this workflow with this annotation, right? And definition, and then run. So it's exactly the same thing as we did before. Here it's tailored for PydanticAI, right? So it turns our PydanticAI communication with OpenAI into a temporal workflow. And this is actually what we did. So here we had this await agent run. So this is what we're doing here. And then we're just showing the output. So it's more or less one-on-one translation of what we had, except this thing needs to be a global variable. And the reason for that is later when we define our worker, we need to say, okay, these are the activities, these are the tools from this agent that we need, right? So now I'm going to actually do that. So I'm going to right now I'm not worried about like making imports nice. So what I will do is we already have the workflow, and now this run, or what I used, run agent. So now what I want is I want to connect to Temporal client, to Temporal server, and I need this plugin. So it needs to know, it knows extra things about our Pydantic AI agent that we don't need to implement things ourselves. And then we have our prompt. So this is what the user is asking. And so before, remember, we created worker separately. We created it separately from the workflow. But here we can do this. We can say, hey, I want to create a worker and I want to execute my workflow here in one file. So for these lightweight workflows, it's totally fine to not split them, but keep them in one file. Okay, and you see, if we compare it with a workflow we did before, so here, so this is how we, where is this? Yeah, so we had this run, right? And we just had, hey, client execute workflow. This is what we do here, client execute workflow, but we also have a worker. And the worker we had before was this one, right? So we specified the activities that this worker can execute, the workflows this worker can execute, the task queue. So we do all the same here. Task queue is research in both cases. Activities are all the tool calls. So we can get access to them because this one is a global variable. We can just say, hey, temporal agent, what are your activities, right? Like that. Okay, so now I'm going to execute this. And if we had a simple agent, this would just work. By simple agent, I mean agent that just uses tools and it does not need other agent. But in our case, we have an agent that uses another agent to do stuff. So this one should probably fail. But before it fails, I want to show you how this looks. Okay, so it's doing something. So you see, it has this head request, then there are two calls, then there is another request. So far, so good. So we can see what kind of two calls it's actually doing. So search videos. Yeah, so that's the, yeah, so we get a lot of extra information, and yeah, we get more visibility and observability. But there is an error. So I think if I go to the terminal, I can see, where can I see the error? Yeah, probably it needs to fail enough times. But I can tell you already, so we don't wait till this error happens. The problem we have here is this, in tools, we have this run context in summarization, right? So this run context is not completely serializable. So there are some things that are not serializable, and temporal requires, for activities, it requires serializable arguments. So we need to do something with this. Did it fail already? Not yet. Okay, so yeah, I think it will fail eventually. So I'll just stop it. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that this run context is serializable, and this is only important when we have this run context. So this is for more complex tools. For easier cases, we don't need to worry about that. And this is how we do this. So we define a run context with these serialize, deserialize methods. Okay, where is, so it's here. Right. And then I just say a run context type, this. And I also need to know some of the types, right? Temporal run context. Where does it come from? Yeah, from here. So do we need anything else? Run context, I think this is from... Okay, my imports are very messy. So run context lives here. And what else we need? Type adapter. I think it's from Pydantic. Yeah. Okay. So this should be it. So this is just a function that serializes, deserializes things. Okay, this one, any, from type in import any. Okay, so now it should successfully serialize, deserialize this run context. So now when I run this, we should have very nice overview of what is happening, and it should finish. Okay, it took 50 minutes longer than I expected. I am sorry, but it's I really liked working on this project. But I think the most important part here is the first part, where we actually ingested all the data when we worked with proxies. So this is where most of the errors can happen, and this is the part that we really need to make sure that is reliable. Okay, so how do I get started with machine learning? And then it sent the request. We invoke the tools. We sent another request. Then we invoke the tool again. So the search is doing something. Okay. Well, I was answering all your questions as we went along. So I think with that, I want to finish. Yeah, I also need to go. But yeah, it was super fun. I hope you enjoyed it. There are some links at the end. So now when I don't know how many of you actually tried to follow this along. It was probably difficult. But at the end, so I need to do a few fixes here to make it more reproducible. So I need to add imports here. And there was one or two other things that I discovered during this stream that I'll fix right now. And then when you work through this, what you can do is I would encourage you to actually share what you learned, put it on social media. There are many reasons why you want to do this, like I described them there, but yeah, I would encourage you to actually share what you learned today, because there was a lot of information, and I'm pretty sure some of this was useful to you. So if you feel like that, please share what you learned on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and I added some templates for that. And at the end, I have some resources that you will find useful, so check them out. Yeah, I think I need to update the link for this one. So this one is quite useful. This deep research it shows you how you can build a deep research agent that uses a search tool from OpenAI. Did it finish? Yeah, I think I did. So that's the output. So I started running deep research for now. Quick plan, confirm what you want, minimum prerequisites, first complete learning steps, core topics. I think this is really good. The only thing that is missing is references. Yeah. So in order to make it include references, what I would do is like here, they used structured output. So they, do they have this? I think they do somewhere. Yeah, but even if they don't have it here, so what I would do is I would use structured output to force the agent to produce the content in the way we want, with references, with all the things, and then yeah, we will be able to actually to have the references. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please try it yourself. Share the results on social media. Tag me. I'll be very happy to review your code, to answer your questions. And yeah, with that, I finish. Thanks everyone, especially all the people who managed to stay till the end. And have a great week. Have a great week. Bye everyone.